How you doing, everybody? This is Mike from Lumen Lights, and this is the instructional video on how to operate your 30-watt LED moving headlight. And in case some of you are looking at this and saying, gee, this looks pretty familiar, it is pretty much the Chauvet Q-Spot LED 160. A few minor cosmetic differences on the housing, but the programs are identical. It's a 30-watt bulb. All the other functions are identical, and the only other difference is the top of the unit. Instead of having the little pinch buttons to open up the door to get at the gobo, there's 4 screws on top that you have to unscrew, and this top half of the cover comes off. Change your gobos. There's slot and lock gobos, and then just put your cover back on. It's really the only major difference. Going into the control panel, it is a 4-button LCD display, and we're going to zoom in on it for you here. And just going to go through some of the different menu items. Obviously, everybody pretty much uses these in DMX mode, controlling them with a hardware controller or a software controller. So basically, you can refer to your DMX chart. These are 9 or 12 channel DMX modes. 9 channel is coarse movement on the pan and tilt. 12 channel would be finer. You'd have a pan and fine pan. So let's go through the menu items. We have here, first of all, we have your little welcome screen, and it shows that we're on address number DMX address 470. You got your buttons: menu, enter, up and down. Up and down is to select the values, enter is to save that setting, and menu is to scroll through the various menu items. Our first item says intro. Hit enter. And intro, you have a sub-menu. You have address, you have reset, you have run, you have channels, you have display, you have info, and back to address. Now let's start with address. Hit enter. This is where you set your DMX address, either up or down with the arrow buttons. We're on 470. Hit enter. It'll blink, and 2 blinks, and it's set to go. Hit the menu button to remove the address to get to the previous tree view of the fixture. Hit up. Our next thing is reset. Now this is, if you wanted to reset the light, it's like reinitializing the light. It just makes everything go back to its starting position. If something happened, the light spazzed out, you got a conflicting DMX signal, you want to just reset things. Next item is run. Now run in itself has a bunch of sub-menus. We're going to hit enter. Now run, you can have custom, which are custom programs. We'll show you that in a minute. Test, and if you hit enter on test, it's going to test the light. The light's going to turn on, and it's going to run through some random movements and just to see that everything is working correctly. Next item you have is slave and master slave mode. If you have one light set as the master, you set all the other lights to slave, they'll follow what the master does. DMX 512, hit enter. This puts it in DMX mode. Now the light has stopped moving because it's waiting to receive instructions from a DMX controller. Next item, Auto 1, and that's an automatic program, pre-built show. And Auto 1, the light basically moves around and does a bunch of things, but it's oriented as if you were having this just the way it is right now, with the base on a speaker or on a truss stand, and the light is basically pointing down. Auto 2, hit enter. Same deal. The only thing is this is oriented as if the light was hanging upside down, so the light is going to be pointing up, but if it's hanging upside down, it's going to be pointing down towards the dance floor. Then we have sound 1, and sound 1 is the same as auto 1. The light points down, but it only reacts when it hears a sound. Sound 2, same exact thing, only the light will be pointing up. Or if you're hanging it upside down, it's pointing down towards the dance floor. Custom is if you pre-program a show, and you can manually program in some pan movements, color wheels, gobos, everything the light can do, and program each step program in a bunch of steps, and then when you hit custom and you hit enter, it'll run that custom show. Truthfully, it's much easier to control this light with DMX than it is to try to do it by finger and trigger the effect, especially if you have these up on truss stands. So I'm not really going to go into that too much because I don't know of anybody who's going to manually enter in a show and then climb on top of a truss to hit run and then have to try to climb up there to stop it. Like I said, most people use these as DMX controlled. Alright, so moving on to our next item. We had intro, we had we did run, excuse me, intro, we hit enter, we had address, we had reset, we had run. Next item is channels, hit enter, and advanced or basic. Basic is 9 channel, advanced is 12 channel. Hit enter, it flashes 2 times, and then it is all set. After channels, we have display. Hit enter, and it'll say bright or 60 close. 60 close means after 60 seconds the backlit yellow backlight will turn off. You'll still have the numbers displayed, but the backlight turns off. If you have it set to bright, which we do, the backlight always stays on. And I recommend leaving it always on so you can always see what state your light is in if you need to change something. Okay, our next thing after display is info. Hit enter, and that just shows you the software version. This fixture has software version number 1. Hit the menu to go back to the previous step, which is info. Hit up again, and we're back to address. So that's the hit menu again, and here we are back to intro. That's the intro and all its submenus. Now moving on, we have invert. Hit enter. Invert for pan, for tilt, for various things, basically means pan is how the light rotates around, but it has a starting position. Maybe it's facing that way. If you hit invert, it just starts in the opposite direction. Same thing with tilt, color. Hit enter, and it's going to say linear or step. This is a little different than inverting the pan or the tilt. Linear or step means step, the light is going to snap from color to color. Linear, if you hit linear and select linear, you can mix colors. In other words, you can do half purple, half blue, like the gobo will stop between 2 colors. Next item after color is use. Hit enter, and yes or no, and that's if you want to use the invert functions. So we usually leave that for default on yes. It's just another option to have. Hit the menu button to go back up 1. After use, we have pan. Hit enter. Now this is going to let you select normal or reverse, and basically just like inverting, it's where the pan is going to start. Next item, tilt. Same thing, normal or reverse. So for example, it's on reverse, I hit enter. It's going to flash twice, and then it's going to start in the reverse motion. It didn't move right now because we're not in that mode. Now let's put it back to normal. Okay. Color, hit enter, and we're back to where we were, linear or step. We want to keep it on linear. So that's invert. The next menu item is range. Hit enter. This is going to refer to the panning and tilting. Start range, hit enter, and we have it set to 0. You usually want to leave your lights at full range from 0 to 255. Hit enter again. Now it'll flash twice, then hit the menu button to go back, and then hit the up arrow, and then it'll say P finish, which is pan finish. Where do you want the light to finish? And we have it preset to 255, which will be all the way around back to where it started from. Now this comes in handy if you want to set the pan range of motion or the tilt range of motion so that the light only scans and pans left and right facing your audience, so it doesn't come all the way around, maybe hit you in the eyes if you're directly behind it. Again, every situation is going to be different. Alright, so let's get out of that. Go back to where we were here. Range. Enter. You got your pan start, you got your pan finish, you got your tilt start, and you got your tilt finish. And then use, hit enter. It's going to be yes or no. We want to do yes. This is to enable this feature. And back to pan. Alright, let's move back to range, to our top menu. Hit up. Next thing is special. Hit enter. Now it says black. Hit enter. This enables you to move in black. In other words, to have the light off but the light is still able to move. Hit yes or no. And again, depending on how you want to do this, if you don't want it to move in black, then you can't black out. If you want it to move in black, just hit yes. Okay. After special, edit. Edit, hit enter. This is where you can program steps for a light. So in other words, hit enter. Step 1, you got your pan, hit enter. That starts at 0. You can go up or down and move your light where you want the pan to start, hit enter. Tilt, speed, how fast it's going to move. Color, select the color you want to display. Gobo, which gobo you want. Gobo rotation, the speed and direction. Prism, if you want to split the gobo up into 3 pieces or 3 images, that's a prism. Dimmer is the brightness of the light. Strobe, obviously if you want to strobe the light, and the rate you would set by the up and down keys. Time, how long it's going to take for each step, how long each step is going to run. And then use, do you want to use this step, yes or no? Well, if it's a step that you're programming, you want to hit the up or down buttons and make this say yes and then hit enter. And then after you do this last step, which is use, you're all done with that step. It'll move on to step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, as far as however many steps you want to set. And then when you're done, just back out of this with the menu until you get to edit, and then hit the up arrow button to go to the next menu item, which is default. Default, if you hit enter, it's going to reset the light. It's going to erase all your custom well, you only get one custom program. It's going to erase that program and set everything to factory default. Edit, we just did that. Let's see, factory default. After that, intro, and here we are back again. Address, reset, run, so on and so forth. So that's all the menu items and how to control them. As I said, the easiest way, and the way most guys use this, is with the DMX controller. You can use that one custom program to program one show, but then you have to manually trigger it and manually stop it, which again nobody does. So DMX is the way to go, and refer to the DMX chart in the manual, and you can basically control every aspect of the lights from your sliders on your DMX board, or if you're using a software controller like Freestyle or DMX, you have all your parameters on your computer screen, and you can program and customize your show for each light and for each show that you're doing. Hi everybody, this is Mike again from Lumen Lights. Just a quick supplemental to this video in reference to the custom program that you can pre-program yourself and create a show. As you can see right now, I have the light running on a program. I did 6 steps, and it does loop and it can run continuously. It is, again, kind of a pain though. I mean, you can pre-program some shows if you want to let the lights do the same thing all night and never turn them off, or power them on and off, but if you were to power them off when you turn the light back on, you still have to go back into the custom to reactivate it. But for those of you who do want to do a custom show running manually without any DMX, hit your menu button, start with intro, hit the down button 2 times to get the edit, hit enter, and it'll say step 0. Hit the enter button again, it'll say pan, hit enter again, and you set your pan using your up or down arrow buttons to move the direction of the pan. Hit enter to set it. Tilt, same thing, up or down to set it. Hit enter to set. Speed, how fast it's going to move, up or down to set it. Color, choose your color. Gobo, choose your gobo. Gobo rotation, set the rate and the speed and direction with the up or down arrow buttons again. Prism, use the up keys to set the prism. Dimmer, from 0, which is off, to 255, which is on full. And this is an important step. Strobe, even if you don't want a strobe, set it to 255 because strobe also acts as a shutter. So if it's set to 0, the light will not turn on, it'll be off. It's like the shutter is closed. So set it to 255 for a full open shutter. As the numbers go down, it will decrease and start to strobe at various rates. And I spoke too long, so we have to go back one more time to get into that menu. Okay, we left off at strobe. After strobe, we have time, and that's how long it takes to execute each move. And then finally use, and you can choose yes or no. Choose yes. Now, when you hit yes or no and you hit enter, it finishes that step. Now it takes you to step 1. We start with step 0. Then it takes you to step 1. I've already pre-programmed step 1. Step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and step 6 is my last step in this sequence. And in order to make the light loop, you need to set the time of the last step to 0 and set use to no. So don't make your last step a a program with lighting and gobos. Just set everything to 0, time to 0, and use to no, and then hit enter, and now that will loop. Now hit menu to get out of that. Go up to intro, hit enter. It's already running the program right now anyway. Hit run custom, and there we go. The light is looping with a custom-made program that you've just created. One other piece of information we also didn't mention on this video in the earlier section is that there is a little adjustment right here, and I'll try to zoom in so you can see it a little more clearly. It is called sound adjustment, and if you have a small Phillips head screwdriver, you can put it right in that little hole right there, and there's a little Phillips head adjuster, and that will adjust the sound sensitivity. So when you're in sound active mode, you can make it more sensitive or less sensitive. Alright, so that's the addition to this tutorial video. Hope you enjoyed. Again, contact us, www.lumenlights.com.